If even at this late stage, if you get a chance or invited to offer strategic advice to President Rajapaksa, what would you say to him?
Oh, that's very easy. I've been saying it publicly. I don't know whether he's read it or heard it or seen it on television, but I'll say it again. I have four very simple steps, all of which can be taken by tomorrow morning. Really, I'm serious. One is that President Rajapaksa appoints an independent domestic inquiry as recommended by the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission to investigate certain specific uh, acts or events that took place at the tail end of the war. And this commission should be headed by an internationally renowned Sri Lankan, such as Justice C.G. Veeramantri, who was the vice president of the World Court, or Sir Desmond de Silva, Queen's Counsel, who was a chief prosecutor in the International Criminal Court at The Hague. So that's step one. Imagine tomorrow morning you wake up. Sri Lanka has a commission of inquiry with C.G. Veeramantri heading it, or Sir Desmond de Silva heading it. What are the Americans going to do? Bring a resolution? Say it's not good enough? Uh, this is the former vice president of the World Court. Is Navi Pillai going to say, I don't trust C.G. Veeramantri? No. It'll go away. And if the Americans try to move a resolution against us, they're not going to get a vote. If we do this, we are now a sitting duck. We have to be a moving target. We have to change our target profile. The second suggestion I would make to the president is use the good offices of the South Africans in starting or restarting the process of political dialogue with the TNA and the Northern Provincial Council. Right now, there is no political process. There's nothing. Occasionally they meet. There is no ongoing dialogue. That dialogue is not going to take place in the Parliamentary Select Committee. I mean, who's going there? Nobody's going there. It has to be chaired by the President himself. And it has to be with Sambandhan and Vigneshwar. If it cannot be done alone, the South Africans have appointed a top politician, Cyril Ramaphosa, a legend in Africa, as their special envoy on peace and reconciliation in Sri Lanka. Talk to them, get them to set it up, have this process, and then you can announce it in Geneva. The process of political dialogue should be for the purpose of drawing up a roadmap for the full, if graduated, implementation of the 13th Amendment. And if there are certain things that Colombo doesn't want to grant the Council, then there have to be mutually agreed upon trade-offs, swaps. And that can come only by looking at the concurrent list, that's the list where both Colombo and the province share, and reshuffling those powers. That can be done. That's point two. Um, Point three is that we should appoint two committees, one on the possible effects of economic sanctions, and that should have the top economists in the country, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, Dr. Saman Kalaigama, Dr. Lloyd Fernando, Professor Nimal Sandaratna, Dr. Dushim Virko. And there should be another team looking at the international legal ramifications, headed by Dr. Rohan Pereira, who was the chairman of the UN Ad hoc Committee on Terrorism in New York and a member of the International Law Council. So we should have these two committees studying the possible implications of moves against Sri Lanka. And the fourth and final point I would make is talk to the Russians and the Chinese. Don't ask them for votes. They're going to vote for us anyway, and they must be talking to people and trying to get us votes. That's not it. Learn from what happened with Iran and Syria. The Americans were about to hit the Syrians, and they might have hit the Iranians. Certainly the Israelis wanted them to. But now they're talking. How did this happen? Because Russia, quietly supported by China, made a diplomatic intervention and came up with a creative proposal which brought both sides to the negotiating table. So ask our friends, the Russians, the Chinese, and other powerful, pivotal states like the Indonesians to not move a counter resolution. I mean, that's crazy. But to take a diplomatic initiative based on the reform measures that we are willing to take, and to move in the council and say, look, this is a dangerous polarization. It's a dangerous precedent. The Sri Lankans have promised to do this. We stand guarantee for them. And let's have some kind of an intermediate settlement or solution. Take the international inquiry off the table, and we will get the Sri Lankans to do all the other things that Nabikel has listed, or the West is concerned about, which is really to do with the domestic human rights situation and an independent accountability hearing into the last stages of the war. Now, this can be done, but that means we have to be ready for trade-offs. We have to be ready to be flexible. We must be willing to give something to somebody. We shouldn't give the most dangerous thing, that is agreement on an international inquiry. But short of that, we should be willing to talk and to trade and compromise and be flexible. We have to shrink our target profile. We have to be flexible, and we have to be a moving target. Right now, we think that we are taking a very strong principled stand, but we are a cross between a sitting duck and an ostrich with its head buried in the sand. That's not the right way to be with Sri Lanka in the world.